Do you remember when every car had its own quirks? The smell of warm vinyl in summer, the whir of a winding handle, the gleam of chrome in the afternoon sun. Back in the 1960s, 70s, and 80s, British motoring wasn't just about getting from A to B, it was an experience. Each journey felt like an event, each feature part of a ritual. Some were practical, some purely charming, and all are now gone. Today, we're taking a gentle drive down memory lane to look at 10 British car features you'll never see again and why we miss them.
Number 10. Hand-operated window demisters. Before heated rear screens, clearing condensation was a hands-on job. On a cold morning, you'd reach into the glove box for a little rubber blade or a soft cloth and start wiping the inside of the glass. It was a slow process, especially before the heater kicked in, and you'd often have to repeat it while driving if the windows misted up again. Some cars had tiny fans aimed at the windscreen, but they were barely enough. It wasn't perfect, but it was part of the winter driving ritual in Britain. Gloves on, breath misting in the air, and the quiet satisfaction of seeing the world reappear through a clear patch of glass. Now a heated screen does the job in seconds, but without the small sense of victory it once gave.
Number 9. Ashtrays in every seat. In the 1960s and 70s, smoking in the car was as normal as winding down the window. Manufacturers built in ashtrays for everyone, not just the driver and front passenger, but those in the back seats too. They often came with a chrome flip lid and a small slot to stub out your cigarette. Even if you didn't smoke, they were handy for holding loose change, boiled sweets, or bus tickets. As smoking declined and interiors became cleaner, these fixtures quietly vanished. Today, they're a relic of a different social era, one where a long drive might mean a flask of tea, a packet of digestives, and a faint haze drifting out through a quarter-light window.
Number 8. Floor-mounted high-beam switches. If you learned to drive before the mid-1970s, you'll remember dipping your headlights with your left foot. A small metal button was fixed to the floor, right beside the clutch. Press it, and the road ahead would burst into bright high beam. Press again, and it dimmed. It meant you could keep both hands on the wheel without fumbling for a stalk. The switch gave a satisfying solid click, a purely mechanical connection between you and the car's lights. As column-mounted stalks became standard, floor switches faded away, seen as outdated. Still, many drivers recall them fondly, especially on winter nights when that little click felt like lighting up the dark, lonely road ahead.
Number 7. Roof-mounted aerials. Long before antennas were hidden in the glass or disguised as shark fins, a car's radio aerial stood proudly on the roof or the front wing. Many were telescopic, stretching up with a satisfying slide, ready to catch the BBC or the top 40 on the Sunday evening. Forget to retract it in the car wash and it could be bent beyond repair, a rookie mistake no driver made twice. Roof aerials added a certain character, a little mechanical flourish you controlled yourself. By the late 80s, aerials moved into windscreens or compact stubs, eliminating the risk of damage but also the small joy of pulling it up before setting off. Today's hidden aerials work better, but they don't have that same sense of ceremony before the drive begins.
Number 6. Wood-trimmed dashboards. Step into a Rover, Jaguar, or Triumph of the 1960s and you'd be greeted by the warm, inviting glow of real wood veneer. Walnut, elm, or even burr walnut was polished to perfection, each panel with its own natural grain. It made the cabin feel more like a gentleman's study than a car interior. The wood wasn't just for show, it told you the car was built with care and craftsmanship. As production costs rose and mass manufacturing took over, plastic imitations replaced real timber. They were lighter, cheaper, and less prone to cracking, but they lacked that tactile richness. Polished wood dashboards are now a hallmark of classic British motoring, a reminder that once upon a time, stepping into your car could feel like stepping into a room designed for comfort as well as travel. Number 5. quarter-light windows. These little triangular gems sat at the front of the side windows, able to pivot open with a small catch. They were perfect for catching a gentle breeze without blasting the cabin, and for smokers, they offered a neat way to flick ash outside without opening the whole window. On long summer drives, they'd whistle softly in the wind, becoming part of the car's soundtrack. Quarter lights were especially common in the 60s and 70s, but as car design moved towards sleeker lines and improved aerodynamics, they were quietly phased out. Security was another factor. They were easy to pry open. Still, for those who remember them, quarter light windows evoke images of seaside trips, winding country lanes, and that uniquely British knack for making small, clever solutions part of everyday life. Their absence in modern cars is one more sign of the march of time.
Number 4. Chrome bumpers. Gleaming in the sunlight, chrome bumpers gave even the most modest British car a touch of class. Whether on a Morris Minor, a Ford Cortina, or a Jaguar XJ, those polished strips framed the car like fine jewelry. Owners took great pride in keeping them spotless, a quick polish before Sunday's drive, making them shine like mirrors. Chrome added weight and could dent with the lightest nudge, but they looked timeless. In the late 1970s and 80s, safety standards and cost considerations saw them replaced by plastic bumpers, which could absorb impacts more effectively. The change made sense, but it also marked the end of an era where style often mattered as much as practicality. Seeing a car with real chrome bumpers today is like spotting a piece of rolling art, a reminder of when the smallest details could make a car truly special. Number 3. Crank handles for windows. There was a time when lowering your car window didn't involve electronics, just your own elbow grease. A small handle, often finished with chrome or a plastic knob, sat nightly on the door panel. Turn it clockwise or anti-clockwise, and the glass would glide up or down with a steady, satisfying rhythm. Children loved winding them down completely, leaning out to feel the wind rushing past. They never failed because there was no motor to brake, and if the mechanism got stiff, a squirt of oil usually sorted it. By the late 1980s, electric windows became standard, and the humble crank handle was quietly retired. Modern buttons are quicker, sure, but they lack the little workout, the sense of control, and the click-click-click sound that came with those charmingly simple handles. For many, that handle is as much a memory of the drive as the scenery outside. Number 2. Vinyl bench seats. Step into a family saloon of the 1960s or early 70s, and instead of 2 bucket seats, you'd find one long, smooth expanse of vinyl stretching right across the front. It was like sitting on a sofa. You could slide from one end to the other without a single obstacle. On hot days, the vinyl would heat up under the sun until it was almost too warm to sit on, and in winter it felt icy to the touch. They were wonderfully sociable, perfect for courting couples or squeezing in that one extra passenger on a trip to the coast. But as seatbelt laws became stricter and car designs focused on safety, bench seats quietly disappeared. Today, cars are more secure and supportive, but they've lost that easy, open feel. There's a special charm in remembering the squeak of vinyl and the closeness it created on long drives. Number 1. Manual choke levers. Before the days of computerized engines, starting your car on a frosty morning wasn't just a twist of a key, it was a ritual. You'd slide into the cold seat, reach under the dashboard, and pull out that little choke lever. It adjusted the fuel-to-air mix, giving the engine a richer blend to help it catch. Get it right, and the motor would rumble into life. Get it wrong, and you'd smell unburnt petrol or hear the dreaded stall. In the 1960s and 70s, every driver knew the choke dance, feathering the accelerator while slowly easing the lever back in as the engine warmed. It gave you a sense of connection. You were coaxing the car awake, not just commanding it. Today, fuel injection does the work for you, flawlessly and invisibly, but without the satisfaction of mastering that small, mechanical conversation.
And there we have it, 10 British car features you'll never see again. They may have been replaced by safer, faster and more efficient technology, but each one carried a bit of personality that modern cars can't quite capture. These details weren't just functional, they were part of our stories. They remind us of long drives to the seaside, misty winter mornings, and the simple pleasures of the open road. Perhaps you learned to drive with a manual choke, or maybe you remember the cool touch of a vinyl bench seat on a summer's day. Whatever your memories, they're worth sharing. We'd love to hear from you. Which of these features do you miss the most? Or is there one we didn't mention that takes you right back? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this trip down memory lane, give this video a like, subscribe, and keep the memories alive.